Have you ever wondered why some people achieve in 1 year what others struggle to accomplish in 10? It's not magic. It's not luck. It's mastery. Not mastery of skill or talent or opportunity. It is mastery of something far more powerful, their time. Time is the only resource every human being receives equally. Whether you are rich or struggling, confident or uncertain, inspired or exhausted, you wake up every day with the same 24 hours. Yet the outcomes of these hours look drastically different for each one of us. Today, I want to remind you that your success is not waiting in a distant place. It is silently hiding inside every minute you let slip, every decision you postpone, every priority you ignore, and every moment you choose to honor. When you learn to master your time, you don't just change your schedule, you change your destiny. You change your story. You change your life. So today, let us dive deep into how you can take back control, embrace discipline, and walk toward the success that has been waiting for you all along. Know what truly matters. The first step toward mastering your time is understanding what genuinely deserves space in your life. Because when you live without clarity, your minutes scatter in every direction and your energy drains without purpose. But when you sit with yourself, breathe deeply, and ask what truly matters, you begin to see life through a lens of intention and honesty. Without this alignment, time slips away quietly, leaving behind regrets instead of accomplishments. And once you discover what truly holds meaning for you, your time begins to follow the same direction as your heart. This is where transformation quietly begins. Clarity makes choices easier because when you know what is essential, letting go becomes gentle instead of painful, and each decision starts reflecting your deeper purpose. Instead of drowning in obligations, you begin choosing your commitments with grace, and every moment starts feeling lighter. When your priorities are rooted in authenticity, life starts unfolding in a rhythm that feels right for your soul. You stop chasing what looks important and start honoring what feels important. And slowly, you realize that time becomes a blessing when guided by clarity. Many people fill their days with noise simply because silence scares them, yet silence is where priorities speak the loudest. When you allow yourself to pause, your inner voice begins to whisper what your busy life often ignores. That whisper tells you which tasks fuel you, which ones drain you, and which ones you have been carrying simply to please others. And in that awareness, you transform confusion into direction. The moment you honor that inner whisper, time begins to work for you instead of against you. Knowing what matters gives your time a destination, because without one, even the most productive day can feel empty. But when your hours reflect your values, even the smallest actions carry meaning and weight. You stop living in fragments and begin living in alignment, where every choice becomes a step toward your dreams. This alignment becomes your inner compass, guiding you through distractions and responsibilities with a sense of quiet power. And as your values guide your time, your life begins to regain its depth. Life becomes simpler when you stop trying to hold everything together and instead hold on only to what truly matters. This simplicity allows your mind to breathe and your heart to settle into its truth. When your days are filled with tasks that reflect your identity and purpose, fulfillment becomes natural instead of forced. And gradually, you begin to experience a gentle peace that comes from living a life you chose consciously. This peace becomes the soil where success begins to grow. Your time is too precious to be spent on things that do not reflect who you are becoming, because every misplaced minute takes you further from your own potential. But when you choose what matters and release everything else, you reclaim the power that was always yours. This choice becomes the foundation of your growth, your discipline, and your success. And with each aligned moment, you carve a clearer path for your future. Clarity becomes the gift you offer to your own life. In the end, knowing what matters is not just a decision but a lifestyle, because it changes the way you think, work, prioritize, and dream. It invites you to love your time enough to spend it intentionally, and to love yourself enough to honor your deepest truth. When you live by your values, the world around you begins to reflect that authenticity. Your time becomes a mirror of your inner purpose. And the more aligned you become, the more powerful your journey grows. Create daily intentions, not just plans. A plan tells you what you should do, but an intention reminds you why you want to do it. And this difference creates a profound shift in how you experience each day. Many people fill notebooks with tasks, yet still feel empty because their actions lack emotional meaning. But when your day begins with intention, you step into your hours with purpose, not pressure. This purpose becomes a flame inside you that keeps you centered despite distractions. And slowly, your time begins to carry depth instead of weight. Intentions breathe life into your routine because they act as a gentle reminder of your direction, especially when life becomes noisy. When you set an intention each morning, you anchor yourself to something meaningful, something that lifts your energy instead of draining it. It could be peace, growth, focus, gratitude, or simply showing up with your best effort. Whatever your intention is, it silently guides your actions and your attitude throughout the day. It becomes the compass that keeps your heart aligned with your goals. Without intention, routine becomes mechanical, and mechanical living leads to exhaustion rather than fulfillment. But when intention meets action, the ordinary becomes extraordinary because you begin to see purpose in even the smallest tasks. You infuse meaning into your work, your conversations, and your commitments. This is how motivation evolves into devotion. And a devoted heart can accomplish things a distracted mind never can. Intention turns your day into a meaningful journey instead of a list of responsibilities. Intentions also protect you from emotional burnout because they help you choose your battles wisely. When challenges arise, your intention reminds you to respond consciously instead of reacting impulsively. If your intention is peace, you handle conflict differently. If your intention is growth, setbacks feel less threatening. If your intention is focus, distractions lose their grip. Intentions shape your emotional strength in ways that plans alone never could. They give your time a sense of inner balance. When you start your day with intention, your time begins to flow with rhythm and purpose, and you stop feeling like life is pulling you in different directions. Instead, you become the one guiding your own direction. This shift empowers you to stay committed to what matters, even when the world demands your attention. It teaches you to show up with clarity rather than confusion. And through this clarity, your productivity becomes more meaningful and sustainable. Each intention you set becomes a small promise to yourself, and keeping these promises strengthens your self-respect. When you honor your intention, you feel connected to your journey. You feel proud of your effort, and you feel grounded even on difficult days. This connection builds emotional resilience, making you less dependent on external motivation. Intention becomes your inner source of strength, your silent reminder that your time is yours to shape. It empowers you in ways that transform your entire mindset. With each passing day, intentions create a pattern of conscious living because your time stops feeling accidental and begins feeling purposeful. You no longer rush through your hours. You experience them with awareness and gratitude. You stop waiting for the perfect moment to begin. You create the moment by simply choosing intention over autopilot. And as these daily intentions accumulate, they become the very steps that lead you toward the future you desire. Your time becomes meaningful because your purpose guides every minute. Say no to protect your yes. Saying no is one of the greatest acts of self-respect because it teaches you to guard your energy, your time, and your peace. Many people fear saying no because they worry about disappointing others, but in trying to please everyone, they end up disappointing themselves. When you learn to say no with clarity and kindness, you reclaim power over your own life. It becomes a way of telling yourself that your time is not a public property. It is a sacred resource that deserves protection. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your growth, you unintentionally say no to something that does. This quiet exchange shapes your life more than you realize. Your yes should be meaningful, not automatic. When you give people your time without reflection, resentment begins to grow silently. But when your yes is rooted in purpose, it becomes a gift rather than an obligation. This is how boundaries strengthen your journey and your self-worth. Saying no is uncomfortable at first because it forces you to confront your own fears, fear of judgment, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood. But each time you practice it, the fear loses its power. You begin to realize that those who truly value you will never punish you for protecting your time. Boundaries reveal who respects you and who only benefits from you. And that revelation itself becomes a form of liberation. You stop bending and you start standing. Learning to say no also teaches you emotional maturity because it requires honesty with yourself about your limits, your priorities, and your capacity. When you honor your boundaries, you show yourself compassion. You stop running on empty. You stop overcommitting. You stop sacrificing your peace for temporary comfort. This honesty becomes a form of self-care that strengthens your mental and emotional well-being. It is through this care that your time begins to align with your values. Your no becomes a filter that allows only meaningful commitments into your life. It gives you the freedom to dedicate your energy to tasks, people, and dreams that uplift you. Instead of being consumed by things that don't matter, you create room for growth, creativity, and fulfillment. This space becomes a foundation for your success, because success cannot grow in a life that is overcrowded. It needs silence, intention, and protected time to thrive. When you say no, you make space for your yes to become powerful, and this power shapes your future. Your yes becomes deliberate. It becomes wholehearted. It becomes aligned with your purpose. You say yes to opportunities that nourish your soul. You say yes to people who inspire you. You say yes to habits that elevate your life. And through these intentional yeses, your time becomes meaningful instead of chaotic. Ultimately, saying no is not rejection. It is redirection because it guides your time back to the path where your growth has been waiting. It teaches you that protecting your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. It reminds you that you deserve a life built on your values, not on the expectations of others. With every no, you return to yourself a little more. And with every protected moment, your future begins to bloom with purpose and clarity. Build discipline like a muscle. Discipline is not built in moments of comfort, but in moments when your heart is tired and your mind is tempted to give up. It is in those moments that discipline quietly asks, will you show up anyway? And each time you choose to show up, you grow stronger. Motivation comes and goes like the weather, but discipline stays even in storms. It becomes the backbone of your success. Without discipline, time becomes a wandering river with no direction. Building discipline is like training a muscle because the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. You don't become disciplined overnight. You become disciplined through small, consistent choices. Waking up on time, finishing the task, honoring your routine, doing what needs to be done. These small acts create a ripple effect that shapes your entire life. Each step strengthens your mental resilience. Each moment of consistency rewrites your identity. Discipline teaches you to rely on your commitment rather than your emotions because emotions are unpredictable. Some days you feel inspired and some days you don't, but your commitment should remain steady. When you act only when you feel good, your progress becomes inconsistent. But when you act because you have promised yourself growth, your life begins to move with purpose. Discipline transforms your relationship with effort. It turns struggle into strength. A disciplined mind becomes a focused mind because it stops chasing instant gratification and begins investing in long-term fulfillment. It teaches you to sacrifice temporary comfort for future success. This sacrifice may feel heavy in the moment, but it carries a reward that comfort can never offer. When you choose discipline over distraction, you choose growth over stagnation. And that choice becomes the turning point of your journey. Discipline also teaches accountability because you learn to take responsibility for your actions, your time, and your direction. You stop waiting for the perfect circumstances and instead create progress through effort. You become someone you can trust, someone who honors their word, someone who knows that effort is not negotiable. This accountability builds self-respect, and with self-respect comes confidence. A disciplined heart becomes a confident heart. When discipline becomes a habit, time becomes your ally instead of your enemy. You begin to work with time, not fight against it. You realize that every minute you choose discipline, you move closer to your goals. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you know that each small step counts. You stop doubting your future because you are actively building it. With discipline as your guide, your time becomes structured, meaningful, and powerful. In the end, discipline becomes a part of your identity. It becomes a language your actions speak even when your words are silent. It becomes the silent promise you make to the future version of yourself that you are doing your part today. And with each disciplined step, your path becomes clearer, your dreams become closer, and your time becomes aligned with the success you are destined to experience. Celebrate progress. Not perfection. Progress is the quiet hero of success because it thrives in small steps, not flawless leaps. Many people chase perfection and end up feeling defeated because perfection is unachievable. But progress is always within reach. When you shift your focus from doing everything perfectly to doing everything sincerely, your entire relationship with time changes. You stop rushing, you stop doubting, you start appreciating each moment of growth. Celebrating progress means honoring the effort you put in even when the results are not dramatic. It means recognizing the courage it takes to begin, the patience it takes to continue, and the strength it takes to try again. When you celebrate these moments, you remind yourself that growth is happening even if it's quiet. This recognition fuels your motivation in a way perfection never can. It becomes the emotional nourishment your journey needs. Progress teaches you to value consistency over intensity because big changes are built through small, repeated actions. When you honor these small wins, you begin to see success as a journey instead of a destination. You stop waiting for one big moment and start appreciating the many small ones unfolding already. This perspective makes your time feel abundant instead of scarce. It brings gratitude into your daily effort. Celebrating progress softens your inner critic because it reminds you that you are doing your best with the strength you have today. You learn to be gentler with yourself, to recognize that growth is not linear, and to trust that you are evolving even in moments of struggle. This self-compassion strengthens your emotional resilience. It helps you rise more easily after setbacks. It makes your journey feel human, not pressured. When you focus on progress, you create momentum because each win, no matter how small, encourages you to take the next step. This momentum becomes the force that moves you through challenges and distractions. It keeps your hope alive. It keeps your effort consistent. And consistency is what creates long-term success. Progress becomes the spark that turns into a flame, guiding your time in the right direction. Progress also teaches you gratitude because it reminds you that growth is a blessing you create through intention and effort. You begin to appreciate the process instead of only the outcome. You value the lessons, the patience, the mistakes, and the forgiveness along the way. This gratitude makes your journey lighter and more meaningful. It turns your time into something sacred. In celebrating progress, you learn to honor who you are becoming because each small step reveals a stronger, wiser, and more committed version of yourself. Every moment becomes an opportunity to evolve, and every step becomes a sign that you are moving in the right direction. In the end, as you walk away from this moment, remember that time has never been your enemy. It has always been your silent companion, waiting for you to recognize its power and embrace its presence. Every minute that passes is an invitation to rise, to rebuild, to redirect, and to reclaim the life that belongs to you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply standing at the edge of a new beginning. And the way you honor your time today will shape the story you tell tomorrow. So choose your moments with courage, protect them with wisdom, and fill them with intention, because your time is the bridge between who you are and who you have the potential to become. Even when the world feels heavy, even when the path feels uncertain, trust that every small step you take is guiding you toward a brighter horizon. You have the strength to shape your future, the courage to protect your dreams, and the wisdom to honor the hours that pass through your hands. And when you finally look back, you will realize that mastering your time was the moment you mastered your life.